I got me a t-shirt that says Western Conference Champion 17-18 regular season. I don't know what that means, but I just got me a t-shirt and it says they're the champions. That means they're the best, right? Right. I love college football.
Oh.
Welcome into a new Pucknologists, episode 50 for the 2018-19 season here on Teal, USA. As always, subscribe to us on the SoundCloud. Hey, give us a review on iTunes. We just certainly appreciate one of those. And enjoy us on any podcast platform of your choice. And always remember to check us out on Twitter and Instagram, both of them at Tealtown USA. I am your host, AJ Strong. With me, as always, the lovely, the talented, the amazingly hair done Rocket Backhander.
Hello. I am the fresh eraser on the pencil, ready to fix your mistakes. Rocket Backhander. How you doing?
And our returning champion this week, one Mr. Puck Guy 14.
Hi, you're stuck with me and all the mistakes I've put on the power play. Can we get an eraser here?
Baking a pie?
We're just never going to let that one go. That's pretty much the way it is.
Yep. Same with AOL.
Home and home.
Oh, I didn't say it.
That one was for you, jerk. Enjoy it, you bastard. So, as it stands right now, it's time to wrap up usually that week, but obviously that 10 days in Sharks hockey. As it stands right now, the Sharks sit comfortably right in the middle of the pack, ladies and gentlemen. Fourth in the Pacific with a record of 2-3-1, good for a whopping 5 points. And what happened? Well, the Sharks lost their home opener 5-2 to Anaheim on goals from Kane and Hurdle. The Sharks then turned around and beat the Kings in their home opener 3-2 in overtime on goals from Meyer, Kane, and LeBanc. The Sharks would turn around and head out to the eastern part of that road trip, that 5-game roadie, and get shut out immediately 4-0 by Leonard and the New York Islanders to begin that East Coast jaunt. The Sharks would then spoil another home opener and explode in a gritty 8-2 win over the Flyers and crack the power play riddle finally 2.5 times. And we'll get to that later. After starting 0-12, then the Sharks would follow that up, facing a winless Rangers team and blow a goal lead, not once, but twice, and fall in overtime 3-2. And then the Sharks would follow that up and experience deja vu versus a 2-0 Devils team, and again, blow a goal lead twice, fall 3-2 again, but this time in regulation, all the while taking 8 penalties.
Didn't Mirko Mueller have the assist on the winning goal in that game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Post-Teal syndrome is a thing, people, and you know, if D is not right in the paint, chances are that still goes in, and that is like Mueller's first goal ever versus the Sharks. But he did pick up the apple. So let's get into it, kids. Over the last 10 days of hockey, it's time to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's right. So for me, the good, the Suomela line so far for me has been the most consistent without a doubt. Kane and LeBanc off to solid starts. Now, that's a decent take if Thornton is still in this lineup. But Thornton goes out after a couple games, and now you've got LeBanc up with Pavelski. You've got Kane down with Suomela and Donskoy. And then, hold on. Maybe we're going to put Meyer up with Pavelski. I mean, it's the line blender in full effect. But for me, I'm just very impressed with what Suomela has brought. There was a lot of people that were kind of debating on what was going to happen. How would the departure of the Cobra impact the Sharks. And Rocket, I'm telling you, my good, Suomela and that line, give me your good.
My good is the Brendan Dillon and Justin Braun pairing. It could be a lot worse, that pairing. And it has been a lot worse, that pairing. So the fact that it's been pretty solid so far, I would say that the entire decor has been pretty solid so far, except for Brent Burns. But let's not go there, right? No, let's not go there.
Yeah. Burnsy.
So, yeah, the good is going to be 61-4. Eric?
My good, the Sharks shorthanded offensively. 3 shorties? And no, I'm not meaning John Shorthouse. So, I think 3 shorthanded goals from the Sharks. Yeah, that's pretty good. Eh?
I'll take that for now. Would I rather have more power play goals? Yes. Yes, I would. Thank you very much. So let's get into the bad. The obvious bad, of course, being Joe Thornton. His knee gets infected. Now, friend of our show, or at least our sister show, Chris JWS, knows an awful lot about issues with knees. And of course, you're also going to see a lot of people refer to what happened with Rafi Torres. He was not able to come back from his knee issues. We've already seen Joe Thornton go through this once. Now this is the second time. And the prognostications, everything we're hearing from the front office is, he's going to be good, eh? He's fine. Remains to be seen. There was a lot of speculation that Joe Thornton, because of his situation on IR, he could have very easily joined the Sharks in New Jersey for the final game. He did not. And with a few days between finishing up that 5-game roadie and then getting 2 at home, there still has been no word as to if we will see Jumbo for the very first stealth night at the tank versus... See, I gave him the opportunity and I'm going to take it away. I'm not letting him do it. So, anywho, versus Buffalo. Yeah, so that is the bad. So, Rocket, do you think that we see Thornton on Thursday night versus the Sabres?
No, I do not.
I would agree with you. Eric, are you a little bit more optimistic, or you think that it's kind of the inverse of no news is bad news?
I'm kind of with you on that one. I think at this point, I think the Sharks are kind of okay with what they have. I think with the lines that are set up, I think Jumbo will be missed and it'll be a huge pickup. But I don't think we'll see him. In fact, I'm willing to go on a limb and say there is a better chance of me being at the tank on Thursday night than Jumbo will be.
Well, I think you probably might both be at the tank, and I think you probably will both have the same viewpoint of the game as it's happening. But at this point, with Jumbo out, and not to take anything away from Joe Pavelski when he's out there with Kane and LeBanc or whatnot, but I think most people would tell you right now, since Thornton has left this team, the top line is not Pavelski, Kane, and LeBanc. It is Couture centering Hurdle and Meyer. So I'm liking that. I can't wait to see Couture wearing the C on his jersey next season. Is it too soon? Too soon?
I don't know. I don't think personality wise he'd be like, no, I don't think that's a role for him.
Too much honesty from Couture?
Yeah, I think like he needs to be I get it. I mean, I'm not saying that. Look, Logan knows the rule book just as well as anybody else on that team, if not better, okay? And that's one of the things that makes you a good captain is not only you're a leader in the locker room, but you know how to talk to the referees in game situations. I'm serious. I'm not making this up. So I think from that perspective, Logan would be an outstanding captain. But yeah, he is a little bit too honest in the locker room. And I think maybe it's a little bit too much of a tremendous syndrome. Like he's just not towing that company line enough to get that big C. And that's fine with me. I think that's fine with everybody. And I don't think anybody should hold it personally against Logan.
Can I just say how much more I love Rocket because she invoked the Remenda word. We love
that bald guy. Yeah. I still don't really know who he is. He's one of your friends, right, AJ?
Oh, I loves me some Remenda. I love that.
No
dude.
idea who he is otherwise.
Oh, I love me some Remenda.
Right.
So,
not creepy at all.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Thornton situation unfolds. Now, maybe, and you don't want to see this, like you don't want to see the Sharks, Eric, rush him back. You want to see him come back healthy. Because remember, the Sharks taunted the Anaheim Ducks a scotch, but far more Las Vegas, and having Thornton take warm-up skates even though pretty much everybody knew he wasn't skating. And you could potentially do that now, put a little doubt into the opposing coach, but I'm with Rocket. I don't know that Thornton even sees a sliver of ice during this 2-game homestand, and I don't think that he should if he's not 100% now. Conversely, the other argument, of course, is if the Sharks are winning, it makes that decision very simple for PDB. But if the Sharks kind of continue this Jekyll and Hyde syndrome, I mean, what's your bet? Like if we're betting the pool, when do you think we see Couture? Because it seems like both Rocket and I are kind of like, nope, not going to see him this coming week.
Couture?
Sorry. No, I'm sorry, not Couture. Thornton.
I can't see him on the homestand. I think if he's, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on this podcast, but if it's me, I say you see where he's at before they get on the plane. He maybe makes a appearance on this upcoming road trip next week.
Jumbo, if you're listening, the first game that you are playing is in Nashville. There will be a burrito waiting if you can make the trip.
Oh, there will so be a burrito waiting, dude.
Are there good burrito places out there? Negative.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you got it. They're not popular. They're one of those things that your everyday person kind of looks down on. So you have to go into the neighborhoods where none of the stores are written in English. And that's where you find the real gems.
So it's kind of like a food truck in San Jose.
Indeed. Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool.
So let's get into the ugly portion of the last 10 days of Sharks hockey, which is the power play. I haven't brought the drum out just yet. I will allow a scotch of time to pass for Erik Karlsson to find his way. I don't know if it's too much ego, if Burns wants the puck. No, Karlsson wants the puck, whatever. Either way, it opens the season 0 on their first 11 opportunities, currently standing at 2 for 21. That is not good, people. One power play lasted a whopping 5 seconds versus LA. So, okay. This power play, Eric, I'm telling you, when does somebody hold Steve Spott accountable? Because this is not a new problem. This is a problem that the Sharks have had since PDB took the bench, and we're seeing zero change.
Yeah, I think the only time we really saw it really click was the 2016 playoff run. And outside that, it was predictable. I mean, Jumbo on the half boards was a big old thing. Then it was getting the puck to Burnsy at the point, and he just throws it at the net, hoping for some Pavelski tips. Now it's almost like they want to be selfish, but they don't want to be the guy that's not selfish. And they're passing it. And then sometimes they can't get it set up. Sometimes they have the Christian Ehrhoff shooting accuracy, shooting it wide, you name it. So, yeah, Spot, he needs to be accountable. But again, like I said on our sister show, I can't see them moving assistant coaches mid-season.
I don't know that I can see that either, but what do you change about it? You know, one of the things that I would like to see is, as good as Pavelski is parked in front of the net, he is, you know, ask all the waiters and waitresses, he's the best tipper. We get that. But what if you put Burns in that spot? What we already know that he can play forward. He's done it before. What if you park his big booty in front of the opposing goaltender, like Chicago used very effectively with Dustin Byfuglien? You have that option. Right now, it seems like the Sharks are setting up the power play and saying, hey, you've got a beard. Go out there and do what Thornton used to do, because they're literally setting Burns up on the half boards in the 1-3-1 that hasn't worked and has been so predictable for so long. So my thing is, set up Burns in front of the net. Hey, you know what? If you want to go full Thornton Rocket, set up Burns behind the net. Let him dish to people. I mean, but do anything. Look for the backdoor pass, crash, do something. But it literally is that meme of, come on, Sharks power play with the stick. Do something.
Are you done ranting? Are you really?
Okay.
Because you got the drum set out. We're just missing the throne and the gong. I can wait.
Wait, somebody, I can get a gong?
Oh, don't know.
Every drum set worth
no.
its salt. Every drum kit worth its salt has a gong, and you know it.
Pandora's box you've just opened. Okay, go ahead.
No.
All right, look. This is Rocket's hard dose of reality here. First and foremost, the power play is not garbage. All right. This system is predictable, yes, but it works. Year after year, it works.
16th last year.
Yeah. See, if it were 20th, if it were 24th, if it were 30th, if it were 31st.
Well, it was 16th last season. The previous 5 seasons, it was in the top 10 every year.
So what changed over from last year? Who did they lose coaching-wise? Who did they gain coaching-wise?
Was there any significant coaching change?
Yeah, didn't their assistant coach go to be the Panthers coach?
Oh, you mean Larry Robinson?
No, Bugner a couple years ago.
Oh, Bugner. Yeah, but he was a defensive guy.
Maybe.
You know what? Hold on. Wait a minute.
In there, though.
Holy crap. Was Marlowe the key to the power play? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, my God.
Dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, totally. It's way too early in the season to start hitting the panic button. I would rather spend this time, doing something constructive, like complaining about the stealth mode jerseys, because this whole power play thing is a red herring.
Oh, I think we're going to get into that later.
And if anybody from a professional hockey team is taking notes on how to improve their power play from a fan-driven podcast, that team has serious issues.
I don't think Toronto's going to be doing it anytime soon. But,
but Edmonton might be listening though. So.
Oh, wow.
Todd McClellan, if you're listening.
If you're listening.
The other bad, I'm sorry, we're beyond bad. We're into the ugly portion. My other ugly portion. So far, the Sharks have played 6 games. In the last 3 games, they have picked up 6 delay of game penalties. You had Meyer and Braun putting the puck over the glass. You had a bench minor for a delay of game. You had Kane closing his hand on the puck versus the Rangers. And in the last game versus the Devils, both Burns and Braun, yet again, putting puck over glass. These are lazy penalties, Eric. These are unforced errors. And again, you can't lay the blame on this to Steve's spot. This is, to me, this is just lazy play. This is not following up and doing what you're supposed to do. I don't know. There's something to me that has changed from the first 2 years that PDB was here, and it kind of snuck in last season, and it seems to have started this season a little bit, where he is comfortable trying to maintain a lead, whereas the first season or so, it was pour it on. I don't care if you're up by 3 goals going into the third. I want another goal. And right now maybe it's just me, but it does feel kind of like, hey, you know what? Sit on that lead.
No, unacceptable. Unacceptable if you're going to sit on a lead. You go and attack, because the second you play prevent defense,
Prevents you from winning.
Exactly. I almost want to say that the first part of this season, it's kind of been like glorified preseason of sorts. They're still trying to feel themselves out. They're still trying to figure out the power play. They're still trying to figure out the lines. Doesn't help that he had Jumbo out to kind of screw you around with them. But I think they found some chemistry with it already. But it's, again, yeah, I think it's just, more glorified preseason. They're getting the rust out. They're trying to get, the kinks out of themselves. Now, granted, you look at other teams and you're like, well, you already got the well-oiled machine. Just not Edmonton, of course, but I digress. But they need to find it, I think, starting to find it pretty soon, because, we're coming up to game number 7 and 8 this week. And, they need to get going, because that's the 1/10 mark, per se, and that's when you start to see the signs and see if there are trends going on with the team.
Yes. You eliminate the laziness. You have 4 days off. And, of course, the Sharks, as we're recording this on a Monday, the Sharks had the day off for some bizarre reason. And Tuesday is Meet the Sharks Day. So I'm sure Tuesday there will be a skate, and Wednesday there will be a skate, and Thursday is the morning skate. But Rocket, I mean, what do you focus on, especially if you're just like me, thinking that Thornton is not going to play? What is your focus over the next 3 mornings during practice? You've been to a ton of practices,
Sure. They're going to focus on probably some plays that will help them get back into some muscle memory as a group, as a unit, as remembering where people skate, and I'm pretty sure they're about 90% cut up already. It'll just be little things, maybe working on a couple of plays here and there that they needed to tweak from last season. Changing a couple of things, getting ready for the 2 opponents. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversations that take place during the meetings that are going to affect the direction of this team during the next 2 games. Like, it's not just on ice bag skate that gets the job done. Like, that's where coaching really, really comes in, and having intelligent players is definitely an attribute. You can't just have big beefy guys on skates out there hitting everything. You need to understand this game and beat this game. So I have full faith that there are plenty of smart guys on the roster, both seasoned veterans like Logan Couture and some younger guys. I think that Kevin LeBanc is going to develop into quite a playmaker. He's got kind of a mind for chess out there. He really thinks 2 or 3 moves ahead. It's fun to watch if you really can track him. But yeah.
Yeah, I think LeBanc, he plays the game like a center a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times. And that's something I think has totally changed in his game since he came from the CUDA. And it's been a lot of fun to watch.
I think that having Joe Thornton absent gives him that role to fill as well. And I think he fits into it quite comfortably. He's not as, naturally gifted as Mr. Thornton is, but he definitely has the vision for it.
Clearly doesn't have the facial hair game at all. Poor Kevin.
Not yet. You never know.
Well, as long as they also work on faceoffs, because they got smoked by New Jersey.
Yes,
so
sir.
that's another part of the game that you want to see them lock in. But that is the end of the good and the bad and the ugly. So, of course, you know what that means. It's time for our 3 stars, or what we like to call.
Oh, good for you.
And with our 3rd star of the opening 6 games of Sharks hockey, we start off with one Miss Rocket Backhander.
My star of the week is going to be the Suomela kid. Because I have no idea who he is, and he doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. He makes smart plays, and he kind of, in a way, reminds me of Eric Fair, just in the fact that he came out of nowhere and he seems to blend in nicely. So good job on that one. He gets my star of the week. Did you?
I like that. And we go to Putt Guy for our second star of the opening week and a half of Sharks hockey.
My star goes to number 48, Tomas Hertl. His fancy little dipsy-do dunkaroo shorthanded, making Cam Fowler look silly, along with being one of the 8 goals. A gritacular performance against the Flyers was very fancy.
It wasn't gritsational.
You could say gritsational, yeah.
See, I'm going to have to pull the card on this one. Tomas Hertl leading the forwards at a -5, despite that ridiculous dangle on Fowler. Marcus Sorensen, of course, a couple games later said, "Hold my beer," and just dangled Dipsy Dude all over the ice. Didn't break the ankles that Hertl did, but again,
disrespectful nonetheless.
or for that matter, Evander Kane before the Hertl goal against Anaheim.
Everything about it, just terrible. No manners.
I'm telling you.
Or just a filthy team.
That takes care of the second star. And the number 1 star this week going to me is going to Mr. Timo Meier. 3 goals, 1 assist, good for 4 points, and a +3. Has only taken 2 penalty minutes, but also has a short-handed point. This kid is right now the Swiss Army knife for this team. They've had him on the top line, the third line, the second line, and he's performed, at least in my view. This should be the season that Timo blossoms. This should be Patrick Marleau 2.0. There's a part of me that's actually kind of Marleau 2.0 and like 70% Marleau 2.0, 30% Nolan 2.0. This kid, he's a little nastier than Marleau.
I was about to say he skates with a wee bit more of a chip on his shoulder than Patty ever did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would sprinkle in just a skosh of a Ryan Clough a little bit.
Yeah, I go with that one.
Yeah, seems
but
a little redundant.
Marleau and Nolan, I like that.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. So that's our 3 stars of the week. And if you were named one of them.
Oh, good for you.
And then we move into our Shark Bites. And we got a couple of things to talk about on this, of course. The Sharks have unleashed themselves yet again a new alternate jersey. Now, and I get it. Every team, every team except, I don't know, Montreal, Detroit. I mean, there's obviously a handful of teams that think alternate jerseys kind of passe. We don't need the money. But there are some teams, let's be honest, it gets the fans to spend a little extra chunk of change on maybe something they wouldn't have. And the Sharks have unleashed a new alternate jersey. So, Rocket, I know you haven't seen one in person yet, but you've seen the photos. I'm interested to hear your take, because I know that you're just like, okay, yeah, whatever. You know, it's all about the player in the jersey. Who cares what they're wearing?
Yeah, basically. I mean, like, personally, from a style-wise point of view, I can't stand them. I really don't like them at all. Sorry. They could have done so many other things with this, but they chose not to, and that's fine, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just a sweater. It's just a sweater. They could go out there in paper bags. I would wonder why, but they could go out there in paper bags, and I'd be like, Sharks, so whatever.
Eric, I mean, you're San Jose's favorite jersey designer. What do you think?
They're the world's okayest third jersey. It's not bad, but and I'll give them kudos for the awesome circuit board that they got going in between the 2 teal stripes. But I mean, what's my biggest gripe? It could have a little more teal in it.
Yeah. And see, you bring up a good point. If the if the thing that you're pointing at is saying, the circuit board pattern in that small sliver around the elbow, if that's like the thing you're pointing at saying that, oh, that's really cool, maybe it didn't quite hit the mark. Now, I think one of the other things that doesn't help is I'm just one of the people that believes that the cut of the Adidas jerseys are just not flattering for the most part. When you see the players wearing the Reebok or the Adidas, they look fine, looks good. When you see civilians walking around the tank wearing Reebok ones, they fit well.
Yeah.
And when you see people wearing Adidas ones, they make people look barrel shaped. So it's not
they're bunched up in the armpits. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta get the Fanatics one.
Yeah, it's not a slam on the Sharks designers or whoever came up with it. It's just the Adidas cut does not help the situation. Now, on the jersey design, I think I would have been okay with it if they would have went with the secondary marker as the crest. If they would have went with the SJ or something to really make it pop, because if anything, the crest on the stealth jersey, it's so muted. And so it would have been nice to, if you're going to have a black background, you got to have contrast. You got to have things that pop. And what did they do? They went with a muted crest. They went with muted shoulder patches. And when you see the numbers on the back, when Carlson first modeled it, the numbers pop, the nameplate pops because it's in white. It's in bright white. That looks great. Would have been nice to see them go with the SJ logo.
Yeah, but it would not have been as stealthy. No, would it have?
Well, and
stealth mode,
which of course proves the point that it's very hard to be stealth when you're wearing a black jersey on bright white ice. But
well, you do what you can in your Shark, man.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say that's like one
Zorro mask. What do you want me to do, man?
And that's like one of 7 jerseys that will be on the ice this season that haven't been worn before. I mean,
every freaking year.
Well, there's going to be 4 All-Star jerseys, but yes, Barclay Goodrow. Barkley's his way out of the doghouse. Gets a 2-year extension. Finally, I mean, you talk about a late bloomer, Rocket. I mean, you're one of those people that talked about how much about Barkley trying to bark his way out. I mean, how do you feel about this?
Like I said, I still think the only reason he's around is because we traded everybody better than him. Yeah, sorry, except for DeMello, but love you guys. You're the best. Yeah, I don't know, man. He might be the Red Baron, man, but he still sleeps on top of the doghouse. I don't trust it. I fully think that if something goes south, he's gonna be the whipping boy. He's gonna be the sacrificial lamb, man. It's not ever gonna be Pete. It's always gonna be Kudra sent down to the Cuda, and someone's gonna pick him up on waivers, and then he's gonna fire in this freaking phenomenal boom, just right past the post and into the go ahead goal, and then we're losing. Why? Because Barclay Goodrow is in Pete DeBoer's doghouse for way too long. That's why.
No, I give you that. I mean, to me, it just feels like, yeah, Goodrow was given a bridge deal, a kind of a show me deal. Like, here's 2 years, prove that you can bark your way out. And right now, in 6 games, Barclay Goodrow has a single goal. And where did that goal come from? If I remember correctly, it came in a Philadelphia game where the Sharks won 8-2.
He's still pretty physical. Like, his physicality in his game has stepped up quite a bit. And he's getting a lot more of a man face now.
It has, and I'm fine with that. But I've had this talk, I don't know how many times before, where you can sit there at the end of a season and say, hey, here's this 4th line guy who posted 15 goals. Well, okay, but let's go back and see what the value level is on those goals. Did that goal come as a game-tying goal, a game-winning goal, or did half of those 15 goals come through essentially garbage time when the team's up by 5 and there's 5 minutes left in the game? That's like you have to attribute some value to each goal. That was always my knock on people that loved Milan Mahalik. I don't know how many times, but Milan Mahalik was a 30-goal scorer. Okay, The problem is 22 of those goals are coming in garbage time. They're not that they're meaningless, but they're not as impactful if you don't have the context. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think they're as impactful on looking at an individual player's record if they're garbage time goals. No, but on the team's overall record, a goal is a goal is a goal, period. So if a guy scores 30 goals and they're all garbage goals, well, hey, congratulations. You know who the garbage man is. Everybody's got, a part to play.
I'll give you that. And of course, teams are going to be aware of this. It's the Twitter sphere who sits there and just looks at numbers and doesn't take into account the context behind them. So anyway,
context,
such a huge word this season. So we got one more in Shark Bites, and that's just because it's a funny debate. There was a great article on NBC Sports talking about when should your team hang a banner.
Oh, God.
Now,
oh no.
All right.
The Nashville Predators are the latest among the group of offenders who have not only look, you win the President's Trophy. If you have the best record among 31 teams in the NHL, after 82 games, because you could make a case that the President's Trophy is almost as difficult to win as the Stanley Cup, that you have to be the best over 82 games. Now, granted, the converse argument is, well, yeah, but the Stanley Cup, you're facing the best teams, whereas, if you're getting the President's Trophy, there's going to be a handful of games against Detroit and Ottawa and Vancouver and so on.
Did somebody say Vancouver?
Yeah. But either way, President's Trophy, only 1 out of 31 can get that. So, you know what? You want a banner for that? Absolutely. I'll give you that. If you win your division, I will give you that as well. But when you post a banner that says Western Conference champions, and then in much smaller type, somehow finagled in there, shoehorned in there, it says regular season. No, Western Conference regular season champions. I'm sorry, it just doesn't have the impact. And the Sharks were guilty of this for a little while. About 5 or 6 years, whatever it was, until they actually outright won the Western Conference. Because to me, I'm sorry, you should not hold a banner that says Western Conference champions unless you are representing the Western Conference in the final. That's almost kind of like the second place, like you're the number one loser. You're the, if you don't get to hoist the Stanley Cup, at least you won the conference. You were the best in your conference. That you get one. For having the best record in the conference, I'm sorry, Rocket. I know Detroit has some of these as well. They might have actually started this whole thing, but and at least Nashville had a sense of humor about it, because their Twitter account posted up some other ones where it was like loudest building or like, best hot wings or something like that. I know they did a couple, jokey banners. Yeah. But at least they understood it and had a sense of humor. Meanwhile, the stupid
Bridgestone Arena intimately. Their wings are terrible.
But meanwhile, that regular season banner is still sitting up in the rafters.
Right. Yeah.
So what do you think? You're just like, let them have fun with it? Or you're kind of like, yeah, that's pretty stupid. Just take it down.
So I'll tell you what, this is
are you that thirsty for a banner?
Yeah, I know the banners are for the fan base. Legitimately, the banners are 100% for the fan base. I don't think they're for the team. I don't think that they're for the lustrous pomp and circumstance of the austerity of being in Bridgestone Arena, especially when their favorite chant is, "Hey, you suck." You know what I mean? Like, this is just another thing for people to wave around and be proud of me. Like, woo, I got me a t-shirt that says Western Conference Champion 17-18 regular season. I don't know what that means, but I just got me a t-shirt and it says they're the champions. That means they're the best, right? Right. I love college football.
Oh, wow.
You know what? I would respect Nashville more if they, instead of having a regular season Western Conference champions banner, if they had one that said like best in-game chant.
No, because it's not the best. It's the worst. It's terrible. It's not family friendly. Like
but they get a lot of audience participation.
I've heard horror stories of people who've taken their kids there and had to spend the next 10 days deprogramming them to start screaming, "You suck at everything."
It's all your fault.
Yeah. Like it's not good. It's not a good atmosphere. It used to be fun. I will give it that much. It was at one point fun and lighthearted, but now it's kind of raucous, and I would not recommend taking children there, small children.
Well, Eric, your take on this real quick I mean, what do you think? Do you agree with me where I'm just kind of, you win your division, President's Trophy, Stanley Cup, that's pretty much it, with the occasional banner for something significant like George Gund got a banner, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Western Conference regular season
we had it up here before. Like, I didn't mind it. I liked how they took him down when we won the Western Conference outright. It could be worse. I remember.
Doesn't that illustrate the fact that it didn't have a whole lot of meaning when it immediately came down after they actually won a real one?
My question is if they actually won the West last year, would they have 2 Western Conference banners? I mean, that's interesting to think. And I remember
the answer to that, Eric, is yes. They would have. They would have put one at one end and one at the other end.
And just
everyone see them
kind of
equally.
A preview for next week's episode, by the way. Rocket will be doing the entire show in that voice.
Yes, I will.
Just for you.
That's my Tammy Faye Wynette voice.
Tammy Faye Wynette. Oh my God.
But
guess what I'm going to be for Halloween?
Here's your one chance, AJ. Don't let me down.
Tammy Faye Wynette. I'm sorry, Eric. You were saying.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, Rocket. Thank you so much. I've seen worse. I've seen, I think I remember seeing the Carolina Hurricanes give a banner to Arturs Urbe for his all-star appearance years ago. So I've seen worse. I do like how they had a little fun at their own expense. They gave Nash his own banner, and it was like a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11. So it's like,
from what
I'm glad they get it.
Still hanging up there.
Is it really?
Yes.
So
nice.
Thirsty. So
that's
thirst.
Fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, and we'll see. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see the next banner that hangs in the Raptors of SAP, especially if one of the next banners that goes up is to mark the end of a player's career. I think we can all agree that sometime between now and the next 5 years, there's going to be a banner that goes up. Now, whether it has the number 19 on it, whether it has the number 12 on it, remains to be seen. But it would not surprise me if that happens. And I just want to say right now, for those of you who can't see Rocket, I love your balls.
Sorry.
Those were fantastic.
I was having way too much fun with my camera. I can't see myself with the Skype thing, so I'm like, oh, I missed this. Sorry.
I'll say this, AJ. I think a banner will say 19 on it, but it might not be for Joe Thornton, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't. It's clearly not going to say Marco Sturm. Oh, are you trying to say 2019 Stanley Cup?
Oh.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
That's cool. If that happens, I will cry for like, oh my gosh. I'm gonna get all teary thinking about
it. If that happens, that means Rocket's gonna just start emailing me Airbnb requests during the month of May.
Basically, yeah, no, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna be like, I don't care. I'm not asking for time off. I'm taking it, and if I get fired, so be it.
Pretty much.
We'll have flash flood alerts for that entire episode of Teal Town After Dark.
Yeah, get your water wings. Get your Tomas Hurdle water wings out.
Yes. So let's move on. I had one left, but I'm going to save that for next week's episode. So we preview the next 2 games coming up between now and our next episode, facing a 3-2 Buffalo Sabres team. It's the Sabres. Honestly, how excited can you get?
I actually like the way the Buffalo looks this year. Jack Eichel looks very strong. And their goalie, too, has had a couple of, I can't remember his name, but he's had several very solid showings. So, I mean, they're fast, they're young, and they have a great goal song.
They have the goal song.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. They have the goal song. But I'm assuming you're talking about Carter Hutton?
Carter Hutton.
Yeah. You got to give it up to him. I don't know. Every time somebody brings up the Sabres, I just think about the image from like 4 or 5 seasons ago when 3 guys were all over Jumbo and they still couldn't cover him, which was just, to me, still one of the most brilliant things ever. But Buffalo is beginning a Pacific Division road trip, essentially. So they've just beat Arizona a couple nights ago. They'll play Vegas, then San Jose, then LA, then Anaheim on this road trip, the Western Gauntlet, if you will. So it'll be interesting to see where Buffalo is after this. Now, take into account, just a week ago, Buffalo beat the vaunted Vegas Golden Knights 4-2. Very, very nice fashion. That's going to be a really fun game to take a look at when they get the rematch on the 16th versus Vegas. So after that, and of course, the Buffalo Sabres game is the first stealth mode Thursday night at the Tank. So by all means, wear black, because evidently Teal doesn't show up on TV or some reason. I don't know.
What Rocket said.
And then following the Sabres game, 2 days later, they host the New York Islanders, currently 2-2-0. For this one, I like it because the Sharks get a quick rematch after getting shut out by Leonard just 12 days prior. And that was a game that, I mean, let's be honest, the Sharks, I mean, come on, 10 a.m. on a freaking Monday? Really? Columbus Day? And to, of course, throw a match on the barrels of gasoline. They said it was, I think, like the lowest attended NHL game in 5 seasons or something. I'm pretty much going to say that there's probably not a game on Columbus Day ever again.
Yeah, I think I tweeted out that looked like it was great attendance for a Barracuda game.
Yes. Oh, that would have been stellar for a CUDA game.
Yeah.
That would have been fantastic.
Teddy bear toss is like that.
Yeah. God love you, CUDA. I mean, but holy hell. 8,700 people? Come on. So that's where we stand right now, boys and girls. The show ran a little longer than I thought it would. And don't worry, we're going to dial that down. But there was a lot to get to. 6 games played. Next week, there'll only be 2. So enjoy. And with that, we go to our final thoughts on where the people can find you on the Soch, and we start with our returning champion, Puck Guy 14.
Thank you very much. I can't wait to defend my title. At least I hope I can. Maybe. I don't know.
Remains to be seen.
Remains to be seen. All right. Well, fingers crossed, everyone. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PuckGuy14. Yes, I'm one of the crazy people that runs the site, and make sure you smash that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and make sure you follow us on all of our social channels and all that fun stuff. My final thought, please, for the sake of our sanity, win these next 2 games, preferably with some power play goals sprinkled in there.
That'd be nice. Rocket!
Hey, everyone. My name is Rocket Backhander, and I'm going to talk to you in a calm, soothing voice.
What about the Tennessee accent?
No.
That's next week.
Yeah, that's next week.
I gotta bottle that stuff up and save it. So anyway, as I was saying, hi everyone, my name is Rocket Backhander, and I'm going to talk to you in a calm, soothing voice because we're only 6 games into the season, and there's no need to panic. Lots of stuff can happen between now and All-Star break, and even more stuff can happen between All-Star break and the end of the regular season. So I'm just here to remind everyone to stay calm and enjoy the ride because ultimately none of us have any control over what happens with this team. You can find me hanging out on Twitter, not being so calm and talking about stuff other than hockey that you might like, you might not like. It's capital R, capital B, little Ackhander 76, Rocket Backhander 76. And you can also find my photographs on the Instagram. I take a lot of photographs here of life in Nashville as a Sharks fan and just as a pedestrian in general. Go and check that out. It's one word, Rocket Backhander on Instagram.
For those of you still awake after that soothing lullaby,
You're on the quiet storm.
Yes, I am AJ_strong on the Twitter, on the Instagram, also throwing up some stuff on the Teal Town USA Instagram. Just like Eric said, hit us up, subscribe, Teal Town USA on Twitter, subscribe to the social media channels. We love that. On YouTube, leave us a review on iTunes, subscribe to us on SoundCloud, whatever podcast catcher you use. It's all so good. So with that, thanks for joining us to start off the 18-19 campaign. Episode 50 is in the books, and we will see you all next week with a different panelist, one that has never been on the show before. Can you guess who it is? I bet you can't.